Hey, what's up? It's Sungano here, talking about navigating my life in my 30s. And this channel is dedicated towards different discussion points on how I'm getting more clarity on career, life, and everything in between, and just sharing with you all of my experiences that I've learned in the past, what I'm learning now, in the hopes that you learn something, I learned something in the process of doing this, and in general, just have that knowledge sharing throughout the process. So, for today's video, it's going to be a little shift from my past videos where I've primarily talked about career thus far and things I've learned and kind of my path. This video will be a little more personal in terms of just really talking through how, for the first time as a 31-year-old woman, I am starting to really understand myself more. And with that understanding of myself, accepting myself as well. And as I reflect on that, and when making this video, I'm starting just to see how much more this is informing what I am looking for with career, even though it's unknown still. It's just becoming more clear as I am understanding myself day to day, and yeah, the things that I'm doing. And it's just funny to just think about something as simple as understanding how to take care of myself. Throughout my 20s, I understood how to, I need to exercise, meal prep, go explore, travel, get out of my comfort zone. That was a big theme of my 20s. But then I didn't realize until we had the pandemic lockdown that I'm an introvert, which was just so funny to me because when we had the lockdowns, I felt great in my own space and being on my own, but being able to talk to people when I needed to have that social interaction. And it's funny because prior to that lockdown phase, I'd never really thought about how I was just regularly depleted. My energy just always was low, and I wasn't recharging myself in a way that was helpful for me in getting that time on my own where I was just always socializing. But anyways, I digress. That's something that was very just a small thing of just understanding myself and how that's now played a role in 31-year-old me, where I know I need to exit the situation, have a day to recover, and I feel great the next day. So something funny like that. But again, I digress on that topic, and want to just focus more on where I am now in terms of just really accepting myself. And a big theme that came up was just how I, for the most part, saw myself trying to meet expectations, other people's expectations, but not really understanding what that meant for me. And to kind of just give more background context on this, I am originally from Zimbabwe. I was born in Zimbabwe, then came to Phoenix, Arizona with my mother. So was raised in Phoenix, Arizona, and have been living in Los Angeles for the past 8.5 years. So with these different points in my life, you could imagine that's definitely different experiences, and the takeaways from that, I never really took that into account in forming what I wanted for my future. I think I just was in a place in the time doing what I needed to do. So for example, going home to Zimbabwe, it was time for me to connect with my family. So I had that connection with my family, and that was great, but I just never really understood, like, culturally what was important for me. I knew that there was expectations of a woman's role, um, Zimbabwe aspect of day-to-day life, and specifically with like my family and how they've molded that into what they'd expect from me. So going to school and all these things, so things like that, where it was just, okay, this is what I need to do because family laid it out. This is the blueprint, so I gotta go follow it. And then being in Arizona, raised in Arizona, going to high school, junior high school in Arizona, and I have that expectation from cultural aspect, thinking about trying to assimilate, fit in into American society, have friends, all those things where I, again, was trying to basically meet where I should be based on these should be's that I didn't have an understanding of what that meant for myself. I just saw it as, okay, this will make me fit in, and let me just do what I need to do so I can be part of the group, essentially. And when I moved to LA, I think I still was somewhat in that mentality where I was juggling these two different phases of my life, and really trying to understand what that meant, but it wasn't the forefront for me at the time because I was in a new city, first time actually like living in a place where no family around. So I was just trying to be exploring LA. I'm in a big city finally, and what does that even mean, So that a big portion of my time in LA has been just experiencing everything I can because I've always wanted to have that big city experience, which I'm so grateful that I've gotten to. But to go back to my point, as I reflect on these different instances, it's just been me meeting the needs or expectations of either cultural, social, and not really taking the time to understand what the values were that were important to me. And there's an element of me that felt kind of shame and embarrassment because it was a feeling of, why wasn't I doing this regularly in my 20s? Why didn't I take the time to reflect? And now I feel, now that I'm in my 30s, I'm trying to make up for lost times in terms of that aspect. And as much as I had those feelings of shame, embarrassment, it needed to happen for me to be at this point right now, sitting here, to know what is more important to me and understanding that the values that, with the intentions of my family, the society that I was in, had its purpose at that time, may or may not be in line with what I want now. And that is okay. And I think that shift from, now it's okay that I'm not feeling this pressure to meet these expectations, it's okay. So when I think about the values and how I've now come to visualize them and really think about them for myself, I think about them in buckets. So I have my personal values, I have my relationship values, I have my friendship values, career values. Just being able to hone in specifically now and say, okay, in the past, let's say for example, career, climbing up the corporate ladder, getting the title was important to me. Why? Because I was meeting the expectation of what my family wanted, maybe what society wanted. But after being in corporate America in two different jobs, I swiftly realized that is not what is important to me. Like, I want to be able to do the work that has impact, that I see, it's like I basically see the impact I'm doing, and not just getting the title just to get the title, because that's not important to me. Whereas that's important for other people, good for them, and it's not for me. And I don't have shame about that. And I accept that, and I am vocal about that now. And I don't feel like I'm judged anymore. Where in the past, may have been a little on edge to like say that, you know. Another example, personal values. Big one for me is just the idea of independence. So thinking about now, knowing that I'm introverted, girly, and being able to be in my own space, do my own things, I'm okay to do things on my own. Just knowing that I get so much joy and just so much energy being in my own space, and that's great. I love that value of independence. So if I'm gonna be with a partner, with friends, just understanding that like that's part of like a value for me, and I want that to be respected, and I don't want shame behind that, you know. So yeah, all this to say, I just have so much more appreciation for myself in understanding what is needed for myself, and accepting that for myself. And while I understand that this practice will ever be evolving, just given the fact mid 30s may be different, my 40s may be different, these different phases of life, I now have a better way to see and be confident that with these changes, I could still come to an understanding of what that means for myself and accept myself in the process, communicate that, demonstrate that, talk about that, and in the end of the day, it's gonna be okay. And it's the idea of it's gonna be okay is now I believe it. I think in the past I just didn't believe it. I think that's the bridge that I've crossed, is that I actually believe it, and that's what it is. And it's nothing where I should feel, like I said, shame and embarrassment about, and I accept it. So anyways, that's just a little nugget that I wanted to talk through personally. And I know people have their different ways where they've come to understand more about themselves, get that self-acceptance. And yeah, I think everyone's experience is interesting to hear. We all have our own path in life. Again, I hate sounding cliche, but I think it's just important to be able to share how we all come to that point in life. And I'm 31, and I finally got there, and it's not gonna stop, but I'm gonna keep working at it, and that's all I can do. So that's today's video, and would love to hear in the comments what your thoughts are, how you navigate this in your own life, and yeah, I would love to hear that.